Irina Sendler, 1910 to 2008, helped smuggle Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto during WW2, providing them with false identity documents and shelter with willing Polish families or in orphanages and other care facilities, saving those children from the Holocaust. On August 23, 1989, 2 million people in Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia held hands and formed a human chain 675.5 kilometers, 420 miles, long, protesting against Soviet oppression and their desire to escape communism. George and Willie Muse, two African-American brothers who were kidnapped as children in 1899 and forced to perform as sideshow attractions because they were albinos. The exact moment when 5-year-old Harold Whittles, born deaf, hears for the first time after being fitted with a hearing aid. A blind Muslim named Muhammad carrying his best friend, a paralyzed Christian with dwarfism named Samir, in Damascus, 1889. The O'Halloran sisters who fended off the officers evicting their family during the Irish Land War, 1887. Enoch Mann teaches a boy how to shoot a bow and arrow, circa 1920. Marilyn Monroe visiting injured troops in Japan in 1954. This soldier had broken his back and had to lie face down during the initial recovery phase. The top photo shows heart surgeon Dr. Zbigniew Relia resting after performing the first successful heart transplant in Poland, Indiana, 1987, which took 23 hours. His assistant can be seen sleeping in the corner. The bottom photo shows the still living patient. Tadeusz Sitkowicz, 25 years later. The patient died in 2017, 30 years after the surgery, and outliving Dr. Religa, who gave him a new heart. He passed away in 2009. A heartbreaking moment, saved in an SS picture, of Hungarian Jews at Auschwitz II Birkenau. It was taken nearly 80 years ago, most likely in late May 1944. Iranian university students before the Islamic Revolution, 1971. Amasunzu is an elaborate hairstyle traditionally worn by Rwandan men and unmarried women, with the hair styled into crests. A man who has been badly tarred and feathered seeks medical help, date unknown. A Soviet war veteran next to an eternal flame on the anniversary of Victory Day, 1966. Victory Day, May 9th, is a holiday that commemorates the Soviet victory over Germany in 1945. Then and Now, 1970 and 2024. A family recreates this photo 54 years later in Salford, England. A schoolgirl photographed at the 1968 May Day demonstration in Lviv, Ukraine, by Pavliuk Ilya. Severe case of syphilis in the early 1900s, before the discovery of penicillin, which would become the main treatment. A portrait of 10 chiefs taken in 1891. Lunchtime at a California school in 1942, taken shortly before Americans of Japanese descent, including the boy pictured, were taken and imprisoned in concentration camps across the U.S. for the duration of WW2. These actions were initiated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt via Executive Order 9066 following Imperial Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. Albert Einstein with his stepdaughter Margot Einstein sitting on his lap, They were attending the opening of the Jewish Pavilion at the World's Fair in Flushing Meadows, New York in 1939. This is how passengers would board airships. This photo shows British airship R101 in 1930. Mongolian shaman in 1909. Father and son crying as they say goodbye to their relatives who are boarding a boat to Buenos Aires in search of a better life during the economic hardship in Spain. The photographer Manuel Farrell took this picture in 1957 at the port of A Coruña. Hand belonging to an X-ray technician at the Royal London Hospital, which shows the damage from radiation exposure, 1900. Every morning, they would calibrate the machines by taking an X-ray of their hands. During this time, people didn't know the dangers of radiation exposure, so they thought it would be harmless to use their hands. Princeton sophomores pose for a photo after a snowball fight in 1893. 18-year-old Philip meeting then 13-year-old Princess Elizabeth at the Royal Navy College in Dartmouth in 1939. He was studying there and was tasked to accompany the royals who were on a visit. It was their first 1:1 meeting. Union, left, and Confederate, right, veterans meet for the Battle of Gettysburg's 50th anniversary in 1913. Despite official concerns that there might be unpleasant differences, the peaceful reunion was repeatedly marked by events of Union, Confederate camaraderie. Star Wars cast out of costumes in 1977. A geisha after washing her hair, before styling it, in Japan in 1905. Acrobat Louisita Lears, taken circa 1929. A mother with her 8 sons, all served in WW2, all came home. Trapeze artist Miss Mara hitting an arm workout in 1958. Alice Doherty, photographed here as a teenager with her family in the early 1900s. She was born with hypertrichosis lanuginosa, which is an abnormal amount of hair growth in a certain area of the body. Maori woman with her son in 1890s New Zealand. Marilyn Monroe and Playboy magazine publisher Hugh Hefner. Bedouin mother from Saudi Arabia in 1948. Young couple in the 1940s. Victorian poverty, 1900. Annie, 7, and 1-year-old Nellie sit on a sacking outside their house in London. They were among 10 children born to single mother Annie Daniels. 5 of their siblings died in childhood. Miner from England sits down for dinner with his wife after a long day at work in 1937. Mary Ann Bevan, 1874 to 1933, was an English woman who toured the sideshow circuit as the ugliest woman in the world after her appearance drastically changed due to developing acromegaly. It leads to excess growth hormone which causes enlargement of the forehead, jaw, and nose.